Good morning and welcome to the Sunday Blether. It's me, I'm back. The third day in a row, you'll be all sick of the sight of me by now, but it's fine.
Never.
But it's fine. I've managed to grab Phil, who we're never sick of the sight of. I love Phil. Phil,
Cheers, mate.
you're a tired man this morning, as am I.
Yes.
Up watching the Royal Rumble last night, and I'm hoping
know.
there'll be a Royal Rumble in that fucking boardroom soon enough because Brendan's got to start chucking some boys out of the window.
Yep.
Because it looks like that's the only way he's going to get what he wants, if it's even his intention to get what he wants. We can get into that. But Phil, how are you doing, mate, other than knackered?
Yeah, I'm hanging in there, mate. My shower woke me up anyway, and I've had a coffee anyway, so I'll be all right. I'll be absolutely fine. But speaking of tired, I mean, yesterday, watching that in that stadium, that'll put you to sleep. We talk about being asleep at the wheel, being asleep in the boardroom. Sleepwalking out on the park yesterday, and it'll be interesting to get talking about that today, because despite a game where not a lot went on, there is still quite a lot to talk about, a lot of concerning points to bring up. But yeah, we'll get into that in due course.
Yes, of course, we are going to be joined by our usual Sunday Blethering team. That is Regan Stevenson, and Mr. Boyce will be joining us today. He finally got his router back working, I think, around about 10 o'clock last night. It finally came back on for him.
Yep.
Yeah, so he's got plenty to say that he wasn't able to say on yesterday's post-match piss show. This is the show where we look at all the news, the gossip, the hearsay, and Phil, there is very little gossip, news, and hearsay today. So,
okay.
We've got a couple of stories. Big Sid Vicious is back in the headlines for us. Big Sidney Van Hooijdonk.
Okay.
We will be discussing him today. A Bristol City striker that's name has popped up a couple of times that we've been told by Peter Grant we have no chance of signing.
That's that then. Oh well.
And of course,
show's over, folks. See you later.
All because of the price tag. You know, the £6 million extraordinary £6 million price tag.
Wow. Okay.
But so obviously, like, we'll have a lot to talk about, and of course, some of what Brendan has had to say in his presser yesterday, and obviously after the game. I think he's starting to feel the heat, Phil. So he's starting to get a little bit snippy with some of the with the press, and if it was a certain other manager, we would be calling him. He's starting to sweat. He's starting to feel the pressure. So we'll get into talk about that. But before we do, we have to get all that good stuff out the way, Phil. So if you like what we do, give us a like, give us a share, slag the hair, hit that subscribe button, the wee like button, press them all, just press all the buttons, press the panic button, and you can become a Boise Bus member for a small cost of $1.99. All our content is absolutely free. It's just a little donation that if you are happy to become a member to help the bus's wheels keep spinning and help afford the service and the MOT and all the tyres and all that other stuff that buses need. And yeah, of course, big shout out to our sponsors at piesports.com. Get on there, get your tasty pastry treats. You'll get 12.5% off with the bus with bus 1888 in the code at the checkout. And I think, Phil, that's all the good stuff out the way. You were at the game yesterday. I hope you took your sleeping bag. Because and a nice big comfy pillow, because it was a bit of a snooze fest, wasn't it?
Well, there's two categories. We need to look at the positives and the negatives from the performance. So we'll start with positives, right? Ultimately, we had to get the 3 points, and we did. So now that the positives are out the way, let's look at the negatives, because that's a hell of a longer list. Okay, so it was a surreal game to be at, because one of the things that I usually talk about on the Friday night show when I do the Friday feeling previewing the games, we've got a home game against a lower end team in the SPFL. What is the one thing that you just want Celtic to do when the game pretty much kicks off? In the first 5 minutes or so, get an early goal, because all these teams ever do is they come to Celtic Park and they sit with 10 men behind the ball, and it can be a really frustrating time to sit through. You know, we've seen it over the years. It's not even just this season. We've had a few clanger results with 0-0s. It's been going for years, you know, absolutely for years. And teams coming down to Celtic Park, because they know obviously they're coming up against the best team, so they are just going to sit deep. And yeah, if you can't break them down in open play, so you get an early goal, and what a minute into the game, and we score one of the most ridiculous goals. Massive deflection on it. I said to the boy next to me, Chris, I says it was more deflected than Benham Kayal's goal against Ajax all those years ago. That one, it was like that, but it rolled even slower into the net. But again, give them a minute and you're like, okay, brilliant. We've opened them up already. They would need to like, try and if they want to get back into the game, they've now got to open up so spaces will open. We'll obviously pick them apart, and you could get 5 or 6 here, no problem at all, because Ross County are they are turgid. But my God, it was just painful. It was just felt like I don't know how to describe it when they were out on the park with the it was a sort of like we'll only go up the gears if they happen to score a goal, because we were living dangerously a few times. There was an instance I remember when Ross County hit the bar in the first half. It was a glancing header came off the crossbar, so there was that. And yeah, it just felt like there was no urgency in the team. And it just felt like, if they score, then maybe we'll go up the gears, which is a dangerous game to play, because we know if we leave it too late and they get an equaliser, then they just shut up shop again. And of course, there's the whole penalty fiasco again. I mean, it's beyond a joke now. It's a parody. What is going on here? We're terrible at every type of set piece. Our corners are so inconsistently bad. I think we score off of a corner once every, I don't know how many games. It's ridiculous stats. Most of the time we're hitting the first man at corners. Free kicks, when was the last time we scored direct off a free kick? That's a very rare occurrence. And of course, penalties. And yesterday, Palmer takes a penalty. It's a poor effort. Keeper saves it. You then get a reprieve to get it taken again because there was encroachment, and he misses again. And it's just, if you don't laugh, you'll cry. Honestly, it was just one of those, I can't believe that's happened. It's the most Celtic thing imaginable. I know there's a stat out there. I know we always talk about the whole Rangers penalty thing, about how many penalties they get. So supposedly, I don't know the exact numbers, but Celtic have had as much as maybe even more penalties than Rangers this season. But the reason that you don't notice it and you don't think about it is because we are so chronically bad at them. If we actually scored them consistently, the stat would probably register more in your head. But we are so bad at them. It's like you shouldn't be missing that many penalties. It is essentially...
should we have a designated penalty taker? That is the penalty taker. Regardless if you miss it, you will take the next one. Is that what we need, Phil?
Well, the thing is, we're trying to do that, I think, with Palmer. But now his record is definitely more misses than hits. So I don't know if that's what they're trying to do, but they're just like, we won't keep chopping and changing it, because that's been Celtic's system for a long time. A guy goes for a wee while, scores a few penalties, he misses one, and then it's somebody else's turn for a while. But Palmer now seems to be the designated penalty taker, and he's not very good at them, let's be honest. Those stupid run-ups are it's one of my biggest pet hates in football. It's just run up and make your mind up. But see the whole, the stuttery run, oh no, it's no for me. Yeah, it's exactly. Graham Souness again, the Graham Souness meme. What's Paul Pogba doing about this? So yeah, he's on causing it. Yeah, but there you go. Yeah. That's my opening gambit on that one.
Aye, well, mate, it took years off me just listening to that. Yeah, it's just bad. Regan, I'm so sorry, mate. I thought I'd sent the link, and well, I didn't. So I get a message there when you were going up on your rant there, when you were going up on a judge-like rant there, Phil. I got a message from Regan going, "You going to send that link, Dave?" I was like, yes, I shall do it right now. Regan, I do apologise, but never.
No problem, David.
How you doing? You all right, man?
I'm doing well, mate. I'm just about got my breath back for that game yesterday. I actually felt Ross County had 3 of the best chances in the game. Apart from Alistair Johnson's deflected shot that went in, I see that Burnaby and Palmer went out to party last night. The two of them, they certainly enjoyed themselves after that performance. I don't know if they deserved it right enough, but yeah.
Celebrating Burnaby's return to the first team, mate. That's what they were celebrating. You're back. Welcome back, Paddy.
No, I thought it was. I feel like, I don't know if you guys agree, but I feel like the whole club is a bit disillusioned at the moment. I feel like from Brendan Rodgers to the board to the players, because even Callum McGregor said that in October time, I've got it here. Callum McGregor said we need a few players to push the club on. Now, this is your club captain telling you in October time that you need a few players to push the club on. Now, so I don't understand what how this has not been addressed, because for me it was blatantly obvious. And then you go to yesterday. Phil was at the game, so same as me, and David Turnbull comes on, and he basically has the ball 89th minute, and then he gives the ball to the Ross County player. He gets the ball back, plays a horrible pass to the Ross County player, which then leads to a chance, which Joe Hart saves. But I just think, well, I don't understand what David Turnbull actually offers. And I listened to you and Terry last night, David, and I thought you did a very good job of hosting the PMP show. But
Thanks, bro.
I mean, in terms of David Turnbull, I don't understand why he's still at the club. And I listened to you guys in the first 8 minutes there, and you said that Peter Grant was saying about the fact that basically that we won't get Cindy Van Hooijdonk, right?
Oh, was he him? Was it-
No, Toby Conway, mate. Toby Conway. He was asked about Toby Conway.
Yeah, sorry. But
That's right.
the problem the problem that Peter Grant has got is he comes across to me as very scared that Celtic have got 3 strikers. Now I don't understand that. I don't understand this whole conundrum, because to me, every big club should have at least 3 or 4 strikers. You look at Manchester United back in the day under Sir Alex Ferguson. They had Chica Clarito, they had Robin Van Persie, and they had Wayne Rooney. Like, I don't understand how everybody's so scared that Celtic have got 3 strikers and keeping them happy. Maybe that's one of the reasons why Peter Grant did so bad when he was here as assistant coach under Tony Mowbray. I really don't understand why people are hell bent on, we shouldn't have 3 strikers. Every big club should have 3 strikers. I don't know if you guys agree, but
of course
I agree. Totally agree.
I just feel like for him to say that it's very hard to keep players happy. Well, if players are not happy to be at Celtic, then I'm sorry, but Kyogo again, he looks anonymous, and it's okay to say, well, he scored us that good important goal against Rangers, and it's that. Well, I listened to people the other day talk about that. It's very difficult if Kyogo's in form to break your way in that team. But the problem is, Kyogo's got no competition for his place. For his place. I listened to yourself, David, and I also listened to Tony Haggett last night talk about Rocco Vata. Rocco Vata is the only guy that we suspected would pop on yesterday. And I think when you're relying on a 19-year-old to come on and save the day against Ross County, I think it's bad for the club. I think the whole problem with Celtic at the moment, to me, David, is the whole club from top to bottom is disillusioned.
Yeah, mate, there's definitely a really, sounds really wanky, but a really bad energy around the whole club at the minute, you know, and it just seems to be sucking the life out of the fans. Of course,
I'll tell you this here in the stadium. See when Palmer stepped up to take the penalty, and this is the type of things, Will, that won't be helping the players on the park. Usually, you get a penalty, there's like a real sort of encouragement for the crowd because it's a free shot at goal, and you should at least be tested. The keeper will make them work for it, but it was so pathetic, that penalty. But see when Palmer stepped up to take it, there was a sort of apathy within the stadium, a bit of a groan, because people were thinking about the one he missed against Motherwell. Because it was that one, because he scored one against Aberdeen in that 6-0 rout, but then he missed against Motherwell on a day that we dropped points. And I think that was just in everybody's head. When he stepped up to take it, we thought it was somebody else's turn. But no, and then of course he goes and misses twice in a matter of minutes. It's you just can't write it. It's like the most Celtic thing that could happen at a penalty kick. It really is.
No, I'm not. I certainly would not want to be this podcast to seem like it's driving a narrative. Obviously, there's been a lot of one-sidedness on the conversation of the game yesterday, so it would be remiss of me to not bring up people that maybe disagree with that it's really Brendan's fault. So Plunge McNugget, he's come up saying that Brendan didn't revert, because obviously somebody had mentioned why did we revert to a slow pace again. Plunge McNugget's saying that Brendan didn't revert to anything. The players just didn't play well. End of. Now that's I get that's a fair comment. Like, I mean, there's only so much Brendan can do. The players have to obviously do the performance on the pitch. Is it a case now with what that 6th game on the bounce? Is it a fair comment to say maybe it was just one of those bad days at the office yesterday? We got the result. It was just one of those games where we got the result, but it was just a bad day at the office. Is that a fair comment, Phil?
I actually is, because even under Ange Postecoglou, who there's still this thing around a lot of Celtic fans can't say anything bad about Ange. There was games where we had quite turgid performances. I had to grind it out at home. I can remember a game against Motherwell. I think it's one when Juranovic scores the OG. I think we beat them 2-1 that day, and it was far from a glittering performance, but 3 points on the board, and it did contribute at the end of the day. And of course, you go back to the famous Ross County win up at Dingwall, where we waited till like the 98th minute to score. We weren't exactly great that night, but again, these points will all add up in the end. So in terms of that, I think he's right there. And in terms of the whole reverting thing, yeah, it could just be one of those days that just didn't come off, because I know it's an old cliche, but with football and fine margins, there was a moment yesterday where Carter Vickers had he forced a brilliant save out of the goalkeeper at a corner. I've seen earlier on about our corner ratio being terrible, but we actually really scored off of one. A great ball in, and Carter Vickers got a great header on it. Keeper tipped it over the bar from close range. That goes in, and then of course, I believe Bernardo missed an absolute sitter in the first half where it was like an empty net, pretty much staring him in the face, and he stuck it over the bar. But again, you put that in, and of course, we scored the penalty. So there was little moments as well where if that does go in, it's going to, they are going to fall apart completely, and we could have made it whatever we wanted. And I think the players would have went up a few gears maybe. But yeah, yesterday after missing the penalty and those chances not going in, I even said to my mate next to me during the game, I think it was early in the second half, I says, I wouldn't be surprised if this ends 1-0 and all we get today is that goal in the very first minute, that horribly deflected goal. It just reeked to something like that happening, and that's exactly how it played out. But ultimately, yes, we get the points, but yeah, the full time when we're leaving the stadium and the BA guy says, okay, our next home game is 3 weeks from now, it's February 17th against Kilmarnock. Genuinely, my first thought was, I'm kind of relieved a wee bit about that, because I don't want to go to Celtic Park, but after watching that yesterday, I'm like, if the performances are going to be like that, I'm quite glad I've got a 3-week break before I have to go back again and sit through that. But hopefully it is just a one-off, as you say, and it is like, because before the January break, our football was actually, we were going up the gears essentially, we were playing well, we were more aggressive, we were fast-paced. But yeah, and also I did see a comment as well, maybe the park is, the pitch, after a 3-week break to try and recover the pitch, and Regan will tell you this because he was in the stadium too, it looks shambolic. It really does. The pitch is falling apart. It's ridiculous, man.
Well, that's perfect timing for you to jump on, Boise, because right now there's a really healthy debate on whether this is all down to Brendan Rodgers' tactics and reverting back to slow, turgid football, or are the players just not doing what is being asked of them? You put out a poll yesterday on Twitter that quite actually doesn't really surprise me. You put out the question, do you think that Rodgers will still be manager of Celtic next season? Out of 1,085 votes, 40% people said yes, 60% said no. And at the minute, from the comments in our chat right now, I would say that mirrors your poll for last night. I think maybe 60, even maybe 70, 80% of people in the chat right now are giving me vibes that Rodgers might not be the manager next season for a lot of reasons.
David, I think that's true.
Why did you? Sorry, Regan, quickly. When you go.
David, I think that's true, but you can look at it two ways. You can look at it. Brendan Rodgers has been disillusioned since coming back. He's had false promises after false promise, where he's been promised to be back to the transfer market, and he's within his rights to not want to stay on, because people were saying about Brendan Rodgers will be here until he's pushed at the door. Well, I'm telling you, if Brendan Rodgers is not back, do you think he'll push himself at the door? Because he's not looking a very happy figure on that Celtic Park. Because for me, I think everybody in Agrarian can see what's the problem is. The problem is the Celtic board. I put the tweet earlier. You're never going to be a serious football club when you've got the chairman's son as the head of recruitment. You're never going to be a serious football club when you've got not an ambitious owner that actually takes care of the football operations, and you're never going to be a serious club when you've got because we're winning trebles, and people are saying there's a lot of people around me yesterday saying that this is a treble winning squad. Well, I'm sorry, but if Bernabe, Greg Taylor, Kobayashi, if they guys constitute Celtic players, they're clearly watching a different football game from me, because these guys are not treble winning Celtic players. These guys are by average players who have got very lucky.
Cheers, Mark. It sounded like the judge there, Regan.
Oh, he was on fire.
Boise, hello. My question:
Hello.
Can you remember?
I mean, with regards to how many fans think he'll be there or not, I think there's two sides to it. I mean, I was just curious as to whether folks think this is a story that's going to end well, or even if it does, like turning into winning the league, I think this season will go down as one that probably just gets forgotten about and filed under underwhelming. I think if we don't win the league this year, then this season will be remembered for a long, long time, and the Phil's episode of Bustalgia for it doubles in length. I think if we were to win the league this season, I think it'd be a season folk would just want to forget almost instantly. And with that in mind, you're going, it's almost lose-lose for the manager. What changed for me was yesterday when he's turned round and he's basically fucking thrown the fans under the bus. Now, when everyone knows I've backed Brendan to the absolute tilt for the start. Up to now, yesterday my patience ran out. The performance I'd seen a few times, and more than a few times this season. When Phil says he was almost relieved that it was going to be 3 weeks to the next home game, that's damning. Phil's been a season ticket holder for 17 years. If Phil's saying it, many other season ticket holders gut reaction when they clicked yesterday to see the next home game was 3 weeks, and they've seen, not intentionally, but just went, that's all right. You know what I mean? That's never a good sign. That's never a good sign. That says a lot about the football. Yes, we got the result today, but see, when the football was shite and we didn't get results, I think it was 2 defeats in a row. My memory of it was Brendan turned his attention to the board himself, metaphorically booed the board's recruitment, if you remember, by saying, I told them we needed 4 quality players to come in the summer. That was undeniably a boo, if you like, at the board's actions in the summer. Now this came at the end of January, and he said his pants pulled down again this month with none of his quality that he was looking for coming in. A haggled over 3 million winger, potentially Van Hooijdonk right at the end of the window, because we wait rather than being the aggressor. Bear in mind, this was a player linked with us about 2 months ago. It's amazing how it'll take to the 30th of January before, 30 days of the window before we find out if we can get him or not. And I would imagine that's due to it being, at absolute bare minimum wage contribution, etc., that they'll need to pay. Now, with all that in mind, very quickly as well, what he says after his poor performance yesterday, Brendan, but he gets the win, he then decides to tell the fans it's they would boo anyway. If they've booed since I came back, if they're not booing me, they boo the board. That as if fans just have a scattergun approach, and we just boo for the sake of boo. We just like booing, and we're booing anyone and everyone that we could think of. Depending on what suits our narrative to boo. It pisses me off, that stuff, when I'm like, you were critiquing this board 2 months ago. In fact, you've made this window worse, you daft bastard, by deflecting the way you did when we lost a couple of games in a row. Because you went, we need the quality, and I told them in the summer. And of course I've jumped onto that and went, fucking bang on the money. That's what I think too. And then when it doesn't happen this month, he is not consistent in his approach. He decides to go, you'd be booing anyway, be complaining anyway, sort of attitude. See, when I heard that yesterday from him, first time I went, that's not a good sign. And again, like I was saying earlier about Phil's feeling, I just thought, I'm going to ask the wee question. Do you think he'll be here? Yesterday was the first day when my head started to turn to, it might just be best for everyone if he just isn't.
Do you think if we had had a poor season last year and Ange had left, would the board be so reluctant to castrate the next manager? Obviously when Ange came in and he was like, I guess I'm not being forceful enough, and he was, whatever Ange wanted, Ange kind of got. That's because we've had such a disastrous season. Because Ange left and left the Celtic. I mean, we're all saying this manager coming in. Celtic has never been in a more stronger position for any manager. Never mind Brendan Rodgers coming back.
Yep.
That should have been a catalyst to shoot off into the next level. But because we were in such a strong position, it's like the board went, no, you'll be fine with what you've got. And Brendan's been just happy to do that. But if Brendan had walked into a club in disarray like Ange did, would Brendan be so passive with the board? Or would he be in there tucking chairs around and telling them, being a bit more forceful? You know that.
Well, let's get it right though. I mean, I think it's a very changed narrative that people are trying to sort of almost rewrite history. That everything was fine when Ange came in because they just gave him autonomy on transfers. They had no choice. They'd fucked about for a manager for 90 days. Ange came in on his own. They didn't have Matt Lawwell at the club. They'd already fallen out with Don Mackay. Early bells or the warning signs to them were there at that point. We'd lost Aya, Edward. There was loads of players that left that summer. We were desperate for bodies, let alone, ones that were affordable. It just went hand in hand. I think we quickly seen it all change within 12 months. The second we won the league back, that next window, we didn't push on. We brought in Aaron Moyes a free, which I think was because he was free. Otherwise, the Celtic board wouldn't have sanctioned that for a 32-year-old who hadn't played in 2 years for a retirement party, albeit he had glimpses at times. I get all that. But I don't think they would have approved that move if he wasn't a free transfer. We then brought in the Bernabeu player for under £4 million, who somehow has to play again yesterday. There was loads. Jens lasted 6 months. Haksabanovic lasted a year in and out the team. That window was back to form. So they've just been true to form this window, pal. That's all they've done. They've been true to form last summer. They were true to form the January before that when they sold Giakoumakis and Juranovic, 2 internationalists, 2 guys that you could hang your hat on to be in your first team under Ange. And I think in Ange's preferred first team squad, at the very least in the case of Giakoumakis, week in, week out, they sold for chump change in 2024. Unless you take your head above the parapet and have a look at what clubs are paying for players, they were chump change. So let's have that right. And we brought in 2 cheaper replacements. So the window in July 21 was out of absolute desperation. Absolute desperation because they
that window was only because Rangers won the league. Celtic are a reactive club in the 21st century. I mean, to me, we've still not signed a player to break the record to odds and Edward. I mean, it's an absolute joke. And listen to the Celtic way the other day, they're talking about the fact that the last big player we signed for big money was Julian. I mean, surely we can break the £6 million barrier for a decent striker or a decent midfield player or even a decent left back, because as we've seen with Bernabeu yesterday, that guy he's running on treacle. He's just no good. He's just not a good player to watch. I think the interesting thing for the Celtic board as well is, I was on here about a year ago and we spoke about, is this the mentality shift that Ange Postecoglou has done with the transfer dealings and stuff? But I think if you look at it, everybody's saying that Ange was proactive and stuff like that. But this was because Ange was buying from the Japanese market. This is not because the Celtic board were doing some sort of masterstroke. I think that's something we need to bear in mind as well. There's no planning with this board. They're just happy to get one little bit ahead of Rangers. And see, to be honest, I'm starting to think that Celtic won that competition from Rangers because they know that it's not going to be as enjoyable. And they only reacted when they knew they had to. When that season in 2020, when Neil Lennon and Peter Lawwell and all these people, they should have got Neil Lennon out earlier, and they wanted Neil Lennon to get that 4th treble in a row. And the problem is with Celtic at the moment is they've still not been able to replace players that they've already had. I mean, Mikey Johnson again yesterday. Mikey Johnson's a player should have been replaced years ago. Mikey Johnson was on there. I mean, I said this on a tweet yesterday as well. See all these players that are here, Bernabe, Johnson, Ralston, Kobayashi, Stephen Mills. That's not their fault. It's the board for their, I call it gross negligence, because that's what it is. Every Celtic fan pays their money to go and watch a good team, and they're not going to watch a good team. They're going to watch a team that should be good enough to beat Ross County, and that's all the board are hoping. I mean, they're telling you that their number one target for a striker was O. Now, if O was their number one choice for a striker back then, I'm positive it wasn't. And I heard you guys talking on Friday. The fact that the board put out a statement about Carter Vickers, to me, is a disgrace. It's great news. I'm really happy with it. But that just shows you how this board love to treat the fans. They knew for a fact that it was going to blow up social media. They knew it. So they knew, how can we deflect the blame here? How can we do anything to take the blame off the board here?
Yeah, look over there.
That's what he did. That's what he did.
The window door will slam shut whilst they're pointing at guys signing new contracts, and you miss it. Do you know what I mean? It's naughty stuff like that.
Yeah, I thought it was dead distasteful. I really did. That probably a bit strong, but I really did think it was. It's calculated to the highest order, because
exactly.
So someone on social media said that Carter Vickers signed in early December time, so they were clearly choosing a moment, and they thought, right, well, we're not going to sign many players over the weekend in the coming days, so we're going to release this at this point. And I think also, I think Brendan Rodgers is the only manager that with this crop of players would be able to win the league, because for me, these players are not good enough. But when you've got a quality manager that outshines the players, then hopefully he can deliver the job. But that shouldn't be the case with Celtic. I mean, we talk about the players. Brendan said in just before Rio went to Asian Cup, yeah, we know that Maeda's going to the Asian Cup. We know that all these players are going to the Asian Cup. So where was the pre-planning? Where was the identity of the club? I'm just lost with the direction. The direction for me is all wrong.
So, Bill, there was Regan brought up a sort of topic that I was going to bring up just now about a certain Tommy Conway. Now, I'm listening to everything that's been said, and I'm starting to feel like, especially after reading this, which I'm about to read out to you, is I don't think it's just the board that's the problem at Celtic. I feel like there's too many yes men employed throughout this entire club, from the guys that create the content to the commentary team to guys like and when I say the commentary team, I mean like guys like Peter Grant, because Tommy Conway is a name that's been mentioned loosely. He plays for Bristol City in the Championship. He is currently played 21 games and he's scored 6 goals this season in the Championship. He scored 9 in 34 last year. 2 of goals he scored this season were in the FA Cup games against West Ham. He put them to the sword over 2 legs, or it was a replay or whatever.
A replay,
knocking them out. Peter Grant was asked if the possibility of signing the under-21 Scottish player. Surprised to find out he was Scottish, but there you go. And Peter Grant said, what did he say here? Because according to Peter Grant, it would cost Celtic in the region of 6 to 7 million, which Peter Grant went on to say, which then gives Celtic no chance of signing him because of a £6 to £7 million price tag. No. When you've got guys like that who's on our commentary team, pushing that narrative, I think he's been told, listen, we're not wanting to say guys $6 million. The fans are demanding it. We're not willing to pay that. So, see, when you get asked questions like that, go and make sure that you drive that narrative. I think that's what's happening here. 6 to 7 million and put Celtic at no chance of signing a guy in the Championship that scored 6 goals this season. No chance for an under-21 Scottish international.
Wow.
No chance of signing him. So why we? So you know, I mean, what does that say? Like, is it
The
just
answer we
a
got.
board issue, or is it trickling down the entire club that this is just the way we can't operate at that price tag? We're never going to be spending £9 million on a striker. We're certainly never going to be spending 20 million on a goalkeeper. That's for sure. But when you've got guys like Peter Grant pushing that narrative, is that because it's infested itself into the entire Celtic ethos at the club?
That's worrying, by the way. That if you reading all that out there, because I take it that he's obviously said that he must have been on Celtic TV's commentary yesterday, because that must be where it came from. Because that is ridiculous. 67 million again. That's the type of prices we should be paying for, like, you know, first team quality players, instead of these like 2 million, less than 2 million punts that we take. Yeah, there is a track record of years that some of them have worked out, but the current scenario is majority of them are not working out. And it's like, we don't need to go crazy and spend like 10 plus, 15 plus million. Realistically, you know, are we going to attract those types of players? No, but 67 million is a good sort of range for Celtic to be shopping in, to get 3 or 4 of them at the start of every season, and it'll improve your first team over. And if they are that good, you can then sell them on for a bigger profit. Because just 2 years ago, David, Carter Vickers, £6 million, Jota, £6 million. So we've obviously sold Jota for a big price, and that was recently. And Carter Vickers will probably go for profit as well. So I don't know where this ethos is now coming from. And I see that's somebody within the club that's working on an official capacity saying that. That is a really worrying thing for me, that he's pushing that. Because you're right, he's not really saying that as a sort of opinion. He probably has been urged to just put that out there. Because at the same time, if he did say his opinion, then the board would obviously pull him up and say, no, don't say that. But I've got a funny feeling that they're okay with him saying that one. And that worries me massively, because where does that leave us? You know, are we just going to keep going round in this circle of £2 million punts of just random players? Is that what we're going to keep doing? That's what it feels like.
Do you think
£2 million players that if they do well, they'll cost 20 million? We'll value at 20 million within a year.
Of course we will.
How does that work? How can we have guys 20, 25 million pounds to our ranks, but the same fans that value 25, 30 million for O'Reilly minimum? But we can't spend 6 million. What are you on about, sir? And you're like, you're tying yourself up in fucking knots.
Yep.
And the level of profit, I also think as well, when it comes to a quality player, if you bring one in and you can get, I don't know, in the case of Odsonne Edouard, double bubble for him, bring him in for 9, get the 3 years off him, get all those 3.5 years, I think, in the end, if you include his loan spell, all those goals from him, and punt him for 18. But that, I think, genuinely doesn't appeal to them. 50, like, you know, it's like, what's that, 100% profit? Nearly said 50%. I know. It's 100% profit. I don't think that's enough for them. They want more than that. They want to be selling Matt O'Reilly for 25 million, going, aha, there's the template, you bastards. That's the real one we should be focusing on. Whereas you look at Jota. Jota goes into 25 million, his fee, 4 times? He costs 6 million, selling for 25. That's unbelievable business. So and the chances of, if you've got proper scouts, again, if it's jobs for the boys in all those departments as well, which wouldn't surprise me, they've probably got fucking Adam Virgo out in Korea right now, do you know what I mean, doing the scouting. But if fucking no.
We've got Regan doing the scouting for the Asian Cup. He's watching that.
Regan has been scouting the Asian Cup. Fucking hell, how much football can you watch, boy?
You get a job at Celtic for us, but...
But I think, I just think when it comes to the profit margin that we make, they seem to want it to be that it covers the cost of all other players bought in the same window. I think they go, Matt O'Reilly, what window was he bought in? And they're like, January 22. They're like, brilliant. Who else did we sign then? Covers all those fees, And then it's like, right, see, look, you need to get a couple of strikes at the big pool. Then they took it way too far. I mean, they took the piss this summer just being, let's get 9 of them in. What if we get 2 right? That'd be unbelievable. They're just ripping the utter piss. They don't have a clue. And it's just frustrating. I think they're looking for far too much bang for the buck on every single recruitment. I think when they view a player to bring in, they instantly, our first thought is, what does he bring to the team? Yeah? That's your first thought. Does he get in the team? In fact, it's now my first thought, because you're always worried if they're going to be first team ready. But realistically, it's all football perspectives we'd give. I genuinely think their first question is, what do you think his resale value could go be if it goes well?
Yeah.
The first thought, that fucks me off.
Regan, are you surprised that when Brendan's come back that he hasn't reverted to the old relationship with like PSG and that? Like, it's just like we've never been linked with. I mean, he had a great hit success with the French leagues. Edouard obviously springs to mind. Like, I'm just surprised that as the board just went, no, we shop in Asia now. We don't buy French. Forget about it.
Don't
like
think
a bit
it
of
was.
spice with our food, you know. We just rather just shop in the markets now.
I think that was Lee Congerton that was the drive force behind that. But yeah, I would say that probably Brendan's been surprised because he came in and he's talking about Mark Lawwell was this great genius for the past couple of years. I would say that probably the best transfer window we've had in the past couple of years was the January window when Matt O'Reilly, Rio Hatate and Maeda come in. That's probably the best transfer window we've had in years. We've probably not signed any good players since then. It's probably all been duds. You look at the last transfer window in the summer, and then this one is a disgrace. I'm just looking at the whole setup of the actual scouting department, and you actually think to yourself, how can a club like Celtic not be scouting the best French talents, David? Because surely that's a market we should be going down, because as Russell said a second ago, the board members we have at present, they're not looking about the football talent straight away. They're looking at, right, if we bring this guy in, how much is he going to go for? And I'm sure there's loads and loads of talents that they could look at. I don't know if maybe the talents they're looking at, just from looking at the French market, Julian was 6 million. Maybe the board don't want to push it that far.
Well,
You know,
but see on that though, right? See the Julian one's perfect example, Regan. He was £7 million, and they hang their hat on the fact they know how many fans will go. See, doesn't prove that you'll, or doesn't justify the fees spent, and doesn't guarantee equality because he left on a free transfer. I thought that was silly on Angie's part, but anyway, either way, that one though, they'll hang their hat on that one example. And so many will go to it, Regan, right? So many fans will use that as an example. But you know the best bit is, we've got Hunters now. I mean, Hunters the examples. The ratio is damning as well in that regard. But they'll hang their hat on that one and allow enough of the fans that are just not opening their mind. Did Ajeti and Barkas spook the board? It should only spook. It should only spook their recruitment process. Who's making the big calls? You went for Ajeti instead of Ivan Toney. Ivan Toney was in Celtic Park. That's a fact. They went for Ajeti. So if it spooks the board, how much think it fucking spooks me? They think that Ajeti is better than fucking Ivan Toney. Trust me, I share their concerns if they're spooked. They've been spooked for a long fucking time.
Keep in mind, by the way, that Jota Park was after Ajeti and Barkas, so if they're still spooked by that, then and they do two players cost more than Ajeti and Barkas in the end. So it's like, so if they're still spooked by that one, then they're not paying attention here.
The difference there, Phil, is these were try before you buy. Now I am fine with loans coming in January if they are try before you buy. If we are, and I'm going to get on to him soon enough, if Big Sid comes in on loan, I hope it's an option to buy. But we will get on to that. And now I want to bring up a comment from Frank Brennan, and this is a narrative that's come up before. I think we've discussed it before. So Frank saying that players don't come because the SPFL is totally crap, the weather's crap, it's total crap, the life away from football is totally crap, the country is totally crap. Apart from that, Scotland is the pure dead drawing. Now, I don't know how many of you have known about this in the chat. You probably have. If you listen to TalkSport, you probably do know. But the likes of Bournemouth and Burnley have now become partners with Hibs and Dundee. They're essentially going to become feeder clubs. Dundee and I think it's Hibs are going to be Bournemouth's basically feeder club.
Yes.
And Burnley are going to be Dundee will be basically Burnley's feeder club. Now that essentially tells me that Burnley and Bournemouth are going to be sending some of their younger talent
Aye.
up here. And I personally think it's a good thing. It can only improve the league if we're going to have some of these guys at Bournemouth and Burnley, currently Premier League teams, feel that coming up to Scotland will only improve them to then hopefully feature into their starting 11s or at least in their squads. Does that overall, will we see more of that, you reckon, if it becomes a success? And will that create give the SPFL a bit more of a higher profile for players to come to Scotland? Now, it didn't stop Matt O'Reilly, it didn't stop Odsonne Edouard, it didn't stop Jota, who was playing in Portugal, coming to Scotland to the weather. So I'm not fully on board with that narrative. But clubs like Burnley and Bournemouth sending their younger talent up here, will that improve the league and will it make it more of an appealing place to play football for foreign players? Phil?
Yes, it will. Yeah, I mean, these Premier League clubs and it's teams like Bournemouth and Burnley. That's the day and age we're in now, where they are Premier League. If the football landscape has changed now, they recognise that these clubs are good places to send their players to learn the game, and it will improve those teams. Hibs have definitely got a better setup, I'd say, than Dundee. Better stadium, better training facilities and stuff like that. So I think Hibs is a good shout for like a team in England to link up with. And you saw this season, and I know this isn't part of the link up, but Owen Beck, who went to Dundee, who of course we all liked with up until very yeah, he did really well. Liverpool had no problem sending him up here. Yeah, he did all right for 6 months. So yeah, I think we've brought up before about the Italian teams seem to have no problem shopping in the Scottish market. So again, it's been brought up many times. I think the whole marketing of the Scottish Premiership is not done too well, whether it's the broadcaster or the actual SPFL themselves. Or the SFA, it seems like we always seem to cut our nose off to spite our face. We don't promote it well enough. And that trickles down to the fans. And that's why a lot of us have got that apathy towards our own league about how rubbish it is and so on.
It doesn't help that managers are coming out and telling people that
Derek Adams, Derek Adams.
League One's better. That's just shite.
I have to get
only get 3 times now. That's just shite.
You're signing up for there, Derek. But yeah, it definitely will improve it. And in terms of, like you say, you're talking about loan to buy options, yeah, I'm all in favour of that because it gets you that idea of how good they can be before you take that plunge on them, essentially. And it worked out very well for Jota and Carter Vickers. So, yeah, I agree on the Sidney Van Hooijdonk thing about that. We're saying if we can get a loan to buy and get a good look at him. But as I've said before as well regarding him, I just hope he's got his dad's ability and not his dad's attitude, because that is one thing that concerns me. Because the way Van Hooijdonk left was not the best of terms.
So let's talk about Big Sid because we're now 48 minutes into the show. We've got 230 watching live. Make sure you hit that like button. So yeah, the forever going on transfer saga of Sidney Van Hooijdonk. But the Bologna striker has been continuously linked with us, and the rumours aren't going away. Especially last night, there was a story that came out that basically he is now available. That's them now said he is available for loan after the arrival of Santiago Castro from Vélez Sarsfield. That was from Fabrizio Romano. The TNT coverage of Bologna's game against AC Milan, the commentary team had claimed that Celtic could be closing in on the striker. The commentator had said that Sidney Van Hooijdonk is the absent man up front. Although he has been pretty absent for them all season, with 9 appearances and no goals. He's not even in the squad, with an apparent move to Celtic on the cards. That was the commentary team. I'm sure he said it in a really nice Italian accent that I can't do.
He was an English commentator, mate.
Oh, was he?
I
hope he still did this.
He was, mate. He was definitely getting the Mamma Mia part, definitely.
Well, an English commentator said that, and I hope he at least put on an accent. But anyway, like I said, he's had 9 appearances so far and scoring 0 goals for the club. But let's not forget, he did have an impressive record in the Netherlands, where a certain Giakoumakis also had a very good record, but he played 35 times for them and scored 16 goals that season.
Who did he play for?
It was Heerenveen.
Heerenveen,
He was playing for them. So he had a good record in the Netherlands, which I think is maybe a bit more kind of... Well, I mean, they're one of the top 5 leagues in the world at the minute. So, I mean, he did all right there. So I'm going to focus on that. So, Regan, is it going to happen? Are we going to see Big Sid
I think
outside
it
the
is.
park holding the number 9? Is it number 9 still available? He's going to be wearing the number 9 shirt this season.
Yes, it is.
I
Aye.
believe it's still available with them. What's his name?
Does that not say it all? I mean, the Celtic have the number 9 shirt available this season. Fucking midway through the season, nobody's got the number 9 at the club, and they'll tell you we done everything we could in the summer. Fuck off! How can there not be a number 9 at Celtic? That tells you everything.
They want numbers like 48 and 75 and all that shit. All these
No,
weird
the
numbers
point is there's
people.
no strikers, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, so the number 9's available, and I would be very excited to see him sign, but I want it with a loan with an option to buy. Regan.
Yes, I totally agree with you, David. I think the buy option would be a very good move for Celtic, and I think he would do well. David, I know people are talking about is only coming in because he's father, but like you said, he's done well in Holland, and he's only 23 years of age. So I would be pretty happy with that. And obviously, people at Celtic think that if we get 3 strikers, it's bad for the morale of the team. I don't understand that narrative. As I said there on the show, I just feel like we need options there, and likes of. I think yesterday's game, I don't think it really suited Kyogo. I think in the last 10 minutes, I think sometimes you're needing someone to kind of affect the game. And maybe that would have been the perfect opportunity for Hoodall to be on there and really making sure that we get over the line in that sort of match. I think also as well, when you look at Scottish football, David, it's quite a direct, physical sort of every match. So I think he would suit that. And I think in terms of when you're playing Ross County and you're playing Dundee, playing Aberdeen next week, I think he would really suit that physical attributes as well.
No, I totally agree. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and pretend I know a lot about the boy. I've literally just looked up what his goal scoring stats were. I mean, that's it. I couldn't tell you how big he is. I could tell you, what he likes to eat for breakfast. I don't know anything about him. And I think a lot of people will be the same. And I think the fact that his second name plays a big factor into people maybe being a bit scared to signing him or so. I don't want to focus on his second name because I don't believe Celtic, if we are interested in signing him, well, I mean, his dad played for us. Like, I don't think that was...
No, I do. I think the opposite. I think that 100% they think that's it. See, if you look at that profile you've described, how would you get away with signing a striker who scored no goals this season, right? But I know it'll cost minimal money because we're getting him on loan, and because we've waited this long, Bologna, like, are you still hanging about? Celtic, yes, sir. Like, just fucking have him.
Do you think Bologna have been waiting to see if they could sign this Castro first?
Aye, and probably
before they let him go.
Someone makes a realistic offer, mate.
We're
if
not
you
gonna
really want him, get stuck in and go get him. Celtic haven't done that. They've went. Celtic have just went, we'll just wait to the end of the window, sir. Hopefully you'll give us a wee player. And Bologna are probably going to end up like going, do you know what? We'll just pay the full wages. Just fucking have him. You're a bunch of annoying bastards continually phoning and asking if you can get something for free. Do you know what I mean? It's ridiculous. But of course Celtic board will think, the Van Hooijdonk thing, no. Ka-ching, that'll work. It's a buy-in, mate.
Feyenoord are also interested in apparently.
You said this on the show before about Celtic and being too sentimental and stuff like that with the player extensions. This is another one where his dad's second name, Van Hooijdonk, is going to play into a lot of fans' mind. Like, oh yes, I remember how good his dad was. So it's that sentimentality thing again with Celtic.
But listen, we've been linked with him since the summer, right? We've been linked with him summer. He had a good season the season before in Holland. Now, if we went, well, listen, we'll take him on loan. Bologna's maybe went, listen, he played pretty well on loan. We want to see what he could do for us first. And if he's been a long-term target, maybe Celtic have went, right, well, we'll just sit on it the now. And if we sell it, and then if he's available in January, then we'll make our move. And I mean, I'm totally speculating, but that's the route I'm going down is he had a good season in Holland. We've identified him. We want him. Bologna went, well, listen, we want to see what he can do for us first. It's no worked out. Hey, is he still available? you're barely using them. We're wanting them. Right, well, we've got an interest in Santiago Castro. If we can get him over the line, you can have him if he wants to go. That's I'm maybe being a bit naive.
You're probably being too nice to the Celtic board, David, because
Fuck off, Regan.
David, see Peter Lonnell, he's probably going, oh, we can make a fortune for the Celtic superstore. Everybody going with a Celtic shirts, Van Hooydonk number 9, and come on, David.
We said the same about Jordan Larson, though, mate, and we were all pushing that one.
David, see, at the end of the day, when is it Celtic are going to go, it's not what we asked you, whether you get another player in? We said we wanted to discuss signing Sidney Van Hooydonk. When's the last time they did that with a player? It's everything's on everyone else's terms. Why don't they just phone and go, I'm not getting a monkey's who else you signed? You know what I mean? What we're asking is, what is your price set for Sidney Van Hooydonk, or what are the best terms we can get if it's a loan option to buy? Let's get that thrashed out. I'm not caring who you bring in. Celtic are never the aggressor in a player. Never the aggressor when it comes to recruiting a player. They don't go out to try and do it. They wait. They will sit tight. I'll give you a prime example of this in a different position as well yesterday. Bernabeu starting. I'm not picking on him, but he's not fancied. He's not fancied whatsoever by Brendan Rodgers. The left-back position was identified way in advance of January, and we all can join the dots that that's one of the 4 quality players that Brendan wanted, yeah? Left-back. No problem. Yesterday, if we had drop points, and I know we didn't, fair enough. Say we had, that becomes a glaring focus point for today's chat. A left back the manager didn't want because on day 28 of a window, when we knew 2 months ago we needed another left back, he's still not brought one in.
Well,
and all of that would have came together and been the narrative, probably unfairly, that Bernabeu being included, is one of the main reasons. But people are reading the quotes. You're looking at a timeline of events. You're going to, and you're looking at a player. And your eyes don't lie. Taylor's been off form, but you'd rather Taylor than the other option. Do you know what I mean?
The worrying thing for me though today, boys, is I'm looking at the news, the gossip, the hearsay for the Blether. We were said only 2 days ago, Celtics have turned their attention to find a left back, and I have got fuck all in front of me. And even the slightest rumour of a left back. I've got Sidney Van Hooydonk. That's all I've got. And Tommy fucking Conway. Neither of which can play left back. So if Celtic have turned their attention to left back and a striker in an ideal world would be good as well, why am I got no left backs in front of me to talk about today? That's what's stressing me out the most. And we've got how many days left, Phil? 3 days left of the window?
Thursday, 4? So 4 days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Aye.
Well, unless I've been changed dramatically.
It's so lethargic, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's so lethargic. It's so slow. It's so like I think almost what you sounded like you were saying there, David, was, well, let us do the striker deal, and then if we've got time, we'll look for a left back as well. Like everyone's one at a time.
Now, we could take a wee look at when Cameron Carter-Vickers signed.
Yep.
Signed, what was it, bang on midnight? And it was there was nothing coming in at all. And out of nowhere, Cameron Carter-Vickers becomes available. I think that's what
that's not them who've done loads of digging on that one. No, that's like Spurs going.
Listen, we need rid of this guy. You want him?
Aye,
you're giving these guys too much credit, David. You're giving these guys too much credit. You're saying it.
I'm not giving anybody credit, mate. This is what I'm saying. This is what's going to happen. They're sitting on their hands, waiting, hoping that Spurs go, here, we've got a left back. You want him? I'm giving no credit to the board here. Zero.
Mind this used to be the civilised Sunday Blether. It's my fault.
Aye, what happened to you?
As soon as I arrived,
I blame you. Aye, it's your fault, mate. You and that fucking router, you wouldn't have been on the otherwise. Oh dear. Well, we've been on an hour exactly. We've got 229 watching us live. It's been a feisty one, to say the least, and the judge isn't even on. So wow, I've enjoyed it though. It's been good. The debate in the chat today has been wild. Totally,
David,
very respectful, very dignified.
In the chat, just going to say, obviously, I know there's some people been bringing up, look, we won an ND, but that doesn't mean that we should deflect away from a pretty inept performance, because if we phone in performances like that again, we're not going to get away with it. So I think it's right that we have to have these types of discussions. I know there's been a few people in the chat saying, "Oh, did we win at the end of the day?" Yeah, we did. We did get the 3 points, and that is obviously. But we do have a duty to basically highlight that it was a very concerning performance yesterday, and if we do that again, we might not get as lucky as we did yesterday. So
and let's have a real Phil.
Sorry to go, boys. On you go, mate.
I was just going to quickly say though, is it not when Celtic win and you just completely focused on that landed us in this situation?
Well,
it was sack the board. Then you win a few games, and it's we won. Did we know? 2 years we missed, 2 costly years of not keeping our attention on the board, and they took full advantage of that by getting musical chairs played in the boardroom, buy one get one free with the Lawwells, and it turns out you can get 2 Desmonds for the price of one as well. That's what they did in their 2 years. They strengthened their ranks massively, all under our radar because we were blinded by a few wins. Let that sink in.
Just look back to earlier in the season. Remember, we were on this show and we were panicking because we dropped points. Well, let's just hope Rangers drop points today, and they did. And we went, and we said, well, listen, let's make sure we don't do because we can't just rely on them dropping points. And we did that. We made that mistake, and then we go and lose 2 games in a row. We can't allow that to happen, and that seems to be the feature of the season. But that's plenty for today. We've got loads to talk about, I'm sure, on the Monday Club with John O'Back. So, well, Russell, we will call it a day. 232 watching live. Thank you very much. We will see you next Sunday. Thanks, Regan. Thanks, Phil. See you.
No problem at all, David. No problem at all.
See you guys.